Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod. I'm thrilled to be here with
Thrilled
you,
to be
my
here
good
with
friend. And we've got a lot in today's show. We've got some news, most of which is good. One is horrible.
Right.
And then we have Faith Clark is going to be joining us in just a little while. And she is the co-founder of Melody of Autism. And she's sort of an expert, as I see it, in organizing your life and getting things done and getting things done well.
While you're dealing with having a child on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk with her about how she helps moms and families to get themselves productive and organized.
Right.
And then a little bit later on the show, we have Jordan Hollow. He is a 17-year-old on the spectrum, and he is a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
How much
So
do we love
people
that?
don't think humor and autism go together. They do.
Who is it that thinks that? I don't think that. I don't subscribe to that.
No.
But I'm sure that there are people who think that.
So.
But I think there's a growing number of comedians that are on the autism spectrum. So Jordan's going to be here with his mom, Michelle.
Yeah. And Faith Clark, by the way, also has a book called Parenting Like a Ninja.
Yeah,
So,
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So they're going to be joining us a little bit later, but first we've got some in the news.
Yes. Frozen and SpongeBob SquarePants and more to offer autism-friendly performances.
Yes, I love it when they do this every year.
Right.
It's a growing thing on
It's
Broadway.
Theater Development Fund.
Yes.
Season of Accessibility.
And they really work with the community to take shows that are on Broadway and that are popular and figure out what is it in this show that we would need to do differently to do a sensory-friendly production. And, for the first time ever, I had just gone to the Miracle Project of their most recent show, and they were doing the sensory-friendly version of it. And I'd never actually, I've been to the movies once when they do the sensory-friendly movies, but I'd never actually been to a theater performance.
Right.
And one of the things that they came out beforehand, we actually went live with their instructions. You can find it on our Facebook page, but one of the things that they asked was that because noise can be very upsetting sometimes to some individuals in the audience, they asked that we show our appreciation the way they do at a show for the deaf.
Right.
And I've gone to
wave your hands rather than clap.
Yes. And it took all of us a little while. There was a learning curve because we would go, oh.
Yeah, right.
But I find I'm still doing it. It's like 3 weeks later and something happens and I go, oh.
Right.
And everybody kind of looks at me and I'm like, I'm happy about it. Right? But it was an entirely different experience. The house lights stayed on.
Right.
And I think those were the two biggest considerations at the Miracle Project. But I know for some of the theater things, like, have you seen the production of The Curious Incident of the Dog?
No, I have not seen it.
Okay, well, it is amazing, and just we've seen the Broadway touring production of it. It's intensive. There's a lot of flashing lights,
right,
and there's all these things. And they had when it was time for them to do a sensory-friendly production, they had to scale a lot of their tech down,
right?
Because it's intense. And but now this season, this list of things that they're taking on.
They've got SpongeBob SquarePants followed by The Lion King, Frozen, Aladdin, and My Fair Lady.
Which how much do we love that? Now these are very specific dates.
Yes.
So the SpongeBob SquarePants is happening on July 15th.
I think they said that was sold out.
Oh, very likely.
Right.
The Lion King is September 30th. Frozen is November 4th. Aladdin is March 3rd of next year, and My Fair Lady is May 5th of next year. I just really, really appreciate that they're taking the time to do this. I love how the New York community has come together around autism. There's the League of Museums that looks at how we can make museum experiences. It's a great place to visit. If you're on the autism spectrum and want to be a part of everything that's happening, you go to New York, right? The center of the world. Okay, let's do our bad news.
Yes.
And then we'll end with our
another child found in a pond. A 6-year-old boy with autism found in a Coffin County pond.
I have to say that on Sunday when he went missing, there were several people who reached out to me and said, "Are you aware of this little boy that's missing?" And
this is in Texas.
Yes, in Texas. And I have many friends and relatives in Texas, and they were like, "Is this, did you know about this?" And I didn't get the messages until really late on Sunday. And then, of course, it was like within an hour they retrieved his body. And here is the thing: this attracted national news because it's a little boy, and he's particularly sweet and has this sweet face that I think that is part of what grabbed the national news. But in every story that I read about this, they said the same thing. This is such a tragedy, but one of the good things that came out of this was that we saw that the community came together to search for this boy. And while I appreciate that, I just want to say that's the wrong thing. If we really want to be a good community, then we need to come together before the child is missing.
Right.
That's really what we need to do. How many times have you and I sat on this show and talked about the death of an individual, and usually a child, on the autism spectrum because of these kinds of things?
Because of wandering or elopement.
Which often leads to drowning,
Right.
which is exactly what happened in these
Children
circumstances.
gravitate to water.
And that is a reality. And I always think about one of the things that Dr. Jonathan Tarbox said to me and said to our viewers. He said, imagine if your child had the ability to say to you, the minute you turn your back, I'm going to run away and I'm going to run towards water. And the chill that puts down your spine. And what would you do if your child could say that? And he said, then do that. Whatever it is that you would do if your child could say that, then do that. And it isn't just on the parents, it's on the community. It's on our first responders. It's as a community giving funds so that that family can put the right things in place to prevent this, and so that the right training can happen. Your organization,
Act
Nancy,
Today gives away fences and tracking devices. We just gave grants to 2 fences to families, and they're very expensive, these
They
fences.
are, but you have a whole program that's called Stop
Right.
Autism Death
That's
by
right.
Elopement, and it covers everything, because
Right.
often people say, well, what do I need to do? Whether it's a family who's like, I don't know what to do, how do I keep my kids safe? Or whether it's a business who says, I don't know how to help with that, right? And you have a comprehensive program that covers everything from training for the family to securing the perimeter to educating the people in the community and making sure that it all works.
Right.
There's short-term solutions to keep the child safe, alarms and locks and things that will go off, alarms that go off in the pool and the neighbor's pool. But there's also long-term solutions working with the police and the firefighters, the first responders, and with the families to get that child proper ways of communicating. Because if the child could say, I want to go see the puppy, right? Then you would know to take them to the puppy, and the child wouldn't be breaking out to go see the puppy.
Communication is key here, and having a way for your child to communicate.
Absolutely. Functional communication, whether it's speech or an iPad or something, so that they have the means and the understanding to know you can't just run away, but you can ask, and if you ask, we'll let you do that. It's essential, and until we as a community say that, these stories are going to continue. So, okay.
And then a new story about hundreds of genes that may underlie intelligence, but also autism and depression.
Yes,
Which
one
is
of the
very
things.
interesting.
Yes. Now, originally they found 52 genes that linked that were just intelligence. They signified, oh, this person is likely to be more intelligent. But in the last year and a half, they found thousands of genes that are linked to intelligence. What they also found, it's one of those old Venn diagrams from math, right? So here are the genes about intelligence, but then there are ones that deal with depression that overlap. Now, I think maybe the good news about this is that the genes that were associated with autism were also associated with intelligence.
Yes.
And
they found that many of the genes associated with higher intelligence turned up in people who also lived longer and did not have Alzheimer's disease, attention deficit, ADHD, or schizophrenia, suggesting that intelligence protects against those disorders.
Right, but there were 500 separate genes that were associated with neurotic traits.
Yes.
That some of the obsessive compulsive stuff that we see, anxiety, depression. So I think the brilliant takeaway here is to say, well, isn't it amazing that autism and intelligence seem to be linked genetically,
right.
But also to further research how we can deal with depression and anxiety from a genetic level, how we can help people who already have those genes to combat those things. Once they know what they're dealing with, it should be easier to treat those things. One would hope.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to that.
Okay.
All right, so that's our news.
We're going to take a break.
We are.
And are we back with, did we say Faith Clark first?
Faith Clark first from Melody of Autism.
And Parenting Like a Ninja.
There we go. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do you provide care services to someone with autism? Recently, more and more children are being diagnosed with the condition and getting the support they need as awareness grows. But what happens to these children as they grow up? It's estimated that over 500,000 youth with autism will turn 18 in the next decade, and they'll be faced with a very difficult reality. As children with autism grow up, their services start to disappear or become very difficult to access. Things like medical care, mental health counseling, vocational training, and more. All services that are still desperately needed. The loss of support that youth with autism face as they grow up is so severe that it's referred to in the autism community as falling off a cliff. Adults with autism need the same level of support they had as children to avoid falling off the services cliff. Introducing Skills Living, the web-based software designed specifically to help transitioning youth and adults with autism so they can avoid the cliff and instead fly to success. With Skills Living, help your learner with autism develop the skills they need in all the critical areas of adult life, including self-control, planning, and problem-solving, effective communication, performing life skill tasks for independent living, acquiring and maintaining employment or other meaningful activities, developing and maintaining social skills and relationships, accessing transportation and public services, and being safe. Skills Living includes a comprehensive assessment, a data collection mobile app, behavior intervention plan builder, and automatic progress reporting. It also provides a complete curriculum addressing 16 key areas, spanning the entire range of functioning adulthood. Skills Living is easy to use and can be implemented by schools, parents, and autism service providers. Call or click today for your free demo and see how Skills Living can help your learner with autism avoid the cliff and instead reach their fullest potential. Skills Living. Wish, learn, become.
I want to tell you a couple of stories today. 4 months after I got my son with autism's diagnosis that he had autism, I gave up my career as a computer analyst, as an educator at the tertiary level. I felt like I couldn't cope. My life was pulled in multiple directions as I tried to figure out parenting him, the charge to kind of fix him, and then just to be a career woman and run my family. I just felt like I couldn't handle it, and I walked away. Now, I help autism moms who want to create high-impact, family-centered businesses do just that. Create income and life in a way that really fits the rhythm of their lives. But I want to tell you how I got there. There are 2 days at 4 o'clock. I want to tell you about 4 o'clock. It was 4 o'clock one morning. I hadn't gone to sleep yet. My son was by this time a teenager. Autism plus puberty is autism with steroids. What that means is that all the stuff we had to deal with, impulse control and tantrums, just up. More OCD, it was crazy. And I just remember that feeling of multiple days on a row, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I hadn't slept yet. I was exhausted. And I thought, we've been doing this since he was 2. I don't think I can keep this up. I don't think I can manage. I wanted to help moms like me, and I couldn't figure out how to do it, but I knew something had to shift for me so that I could be of service. Other people were facing this dilemma. And I'd solved some of the challenges we faced. as meeting with the first person to ever hire me as an autism parent coach. I figured he could help me. He's a serial entrepreneur. He knew all kinds of nerdy, techie stuff. We have a background in computer science together. He's a musician, amazing guy. And I said, how do I help people? And we shared our ideas. He said, come over, let's talk. And after about 4 hours together, I just remember that moment, like 5 seconds before I became an entrepreneur, when he said, hey, the domain name is available. Do you want it? And I'm looking at him in shock, like, what? I don't have any money. All my doubts, right? I'd walked away from corporate. I'd walked away from education. I had no background. How do I run a business? He says, it's available. Do you want it? He says, I'll take out my credit card. Boom. melodyofautism.com, my first official business. And I said, oh my goodness, I have to do it now. I have to do something. And I became a business owner. And that was a pivotal moment for me because it created this shift from being fully focused on what was going on in my own life and the chaos I was feeling to how do I help other people in their chaos. There's a movement going on. I don't know if you've noticed it. Do you know how many businesses are run by autism families and special needs families? There are so many solutions to the problems that we face that are being solved by people like us. And it's being solved in ways that fit the life that we face. Send email to faith@melodyofautism.com and we can talk about your place in this movement.
So that was Faith Clark.
Right, and we're going to be having her coming up very shortly.
Yes, but we've got a couple of minutes before her interview, and we had some more questions that came in. We had somebody write in and say, my child was being ignored, so he tried harder to get attention. The teachers were trying to extinguish the behavior, but they were only making it worse. And I think it's important that we recognize, I think the whole process of what to pay attention to and how to pay attention to it and extinguishing attention getting behavior is one of the most complicated things that there is for a parent to understand.
It really is hard.
And I want to say that it took me at least 3 years to begin to get a handle on it, and that the folks at school, I don't think they ever got it. Bless their hearts, and they meant well, but I think it's one of those concepts that's really difficult. But let me put it to you in this way, that all of us and our kids, when we engage in challenging behavior, we do it because we're getting something we need. And that's what we have to focus on is why are they doing this? What is it that they want? And when it's a behavior that we don't like, we want to give them the exact opposite. The exact opposite. So if I'm tantruming because I want a cookie and I'm saying, give me the cookie, give me the cookie, give me the cookie, I want the cookie. What do?
I don't give you the cookie.
You don't give me the cookie under any circumstances.
Right, because the negative behavior is simply cry out for attention, what that child wants.
But at another time, what you would do is take me aside and teach me how to properly request for a cookie.
Right.
And every time I properly requested for a cookie, you would give it to me, right? Because I'm doing the behavior you want. So when we want attention, when you know for sure that attention is the thing that the person wants, we don't give them that attention. It's called planned ignoring because it's not quite the same as ignoring, and a lot of teachers get it wrong.
Putting it on extinction?
Yes, it's called, but anytime, you not giving me the cookie, that's not ignoring, that's refusing to give me the cookie.
Right.
And that's putting it on extinction.
Okay.
It's when you cut off the supply of whatever it was feeding the thing.
And the behaviors may get worse in the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that we have the hardest time understanding is that when you think that you have what the function of the behavior is, you go, this is attention. So I'm not, if you're going, give it to me, whatever it is, and I'm not paying attention to you, if I shout louder, then you got it right.
Right.
That means you got it right, and you got to hang in through it. If there's no reaction, then you probably didn't get it right. So you get this, what they call an extinction burst, and I always say my light switch. I go to my light switch, and my expectation is I turn it, and it's going to come on, right? And then I'll go one day, and I turn it, and the light doesn't come on. And I don't go, oh, I better go change the light bulb. I stand there and go,
Right.
that's an extinction burst. I'm an intelligent person,
Right.
and I go like this
Mm-hmm.
because it always worked before. Why
Right.
isn't it working now?
Right. Got it.
That's the extinction burst. Okay,
So, okay,
quick break,
so
and then we're coming back
yeah,
with
we're
Faith
coming
Clark.
back. Faith Clark.
Stick with us.
Yeah.
Hello, activists. Let's talk about step 7. Recognize your gifts and abilities. Whatever gifts and abilities you had before autism entered your life, you have them now. And I bet you've developed some that you didn't even know you had. Those gifts and abilities are going to help you in your journey of parenting a child with autism spectrum disorders. Maybe you're a born researcher, teacher, negotiator, or organizer. Well, you're going to need all of those talents. And you could find a whole new calling. That's what happened to me. If you had told me 20 years ago that I was going to leave behind a career as a television producer to work as an autism advocate and activist, I would have said, you're nuts. If you don't think you have any special gifts or abilities, ask someone who loves you. They'll tell you what they are. I guarantee you, you have them. What's your special gift? Find it, use it, for yourself, for your child, for the good of all concerned. Until next time, keep the faith.
And we're back, and now we're going to be joined via Skype by Faith Clark. And you heard her speak just a moment ago. Faith coaches, consults, and creates experiences that help others take their desired next steps. Parents of children with autism. She's the co-founder of Melody of Autism, which helps ASD families thrive. So she's a performance coach, and she's curator of AutisticBizMoms.club, a community of women who want both impact and healthy balance. Welcome to the show, Faith.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes.
We're thrilled to have you. And in all those wonderful things that you listed, Nancy, one of the things that became clear in the video is that Faith is also an autism mom.
Right.
And so she's got firsthand information in this area to help folks. So Faith, we saw this wonderful video with you when you talked about how you decided to become a coach, but talk about some of the things that you've been able to help families with.
So and with Melody of Autism, part of what I started with was this question: how can we expand the tribe, the village around each family and each child? Because I realized that autism is not each child with autism is different. And so child care and kind of really specialized support was very, very hard and difficult to afford. And so part of what I like to work with families with is how to understand your child in a very, I think, gentle and nourishing and supportive way. And then how to help others join a movement, if you want to call it, to understand your child in that way and so offer support. And so whether it's the after school nanny or somebody just to take your child to therapy, I think all the hands that interact with your child with autism or any other special need, they need to have an intuitive understanding of who your child is. And so I tend to work with families on how to build that and work with the caregivers on how to understand in those ways.
Now, this all comes from personal experience. Talk about how you had a major career. You were a computer programmer on Wall Street, and you taught at the college level. You had a career in computer engineering and systems analysis. So, but did you give this up because of your child with autism? Can you talk about that?
It was a crisis moment when I got the diagnosis, because I really wanted to, I guess, ground myself. I didn't understand how to do both. I didn't understand how to be a mom, how to have a child with autism, how to, like, my dreams for my child felt completely different from my dreams for myself. And I didn't know how to pull them together. And frankly, I didn't care to. I didn't feel like I wanted to try. And so I stopped. I kind of gave up my job, and I was able to be home, and that was good. And then I kind of threw myself into what is autism intervention? How do we fix him? How do we cure him? But not with poor self-management. I mean, I was really good at learning and understanding and navigating, but there was also, I didn't kind of know about self-care or even tune into that. And so over time, it was just quick to burnout and feeling pulled in multiple directions, therapists saying different things. How do you, integration is a big word for me, both as a systems programmer and just as a human. And I didn't feel like I knew how to integrate it all. And so I kind of got to the place where I just stopped everything.
Okay.
And it's so fascinating because as you're talking about, I think we can all relate to it, that it's, you kind of lose yourself
Right.
into your child. And this is one of the things that you talk about so eloquently, is the relationship between the parent and the child and the emotional health and well-being of that. And so how do you help families to work with that?
I think on a really deep level, we all know what feels good to us in our relationships, but as we engage this path of intervention and the structure and these ever closing developmental windows and all this, we kind of lose this sense of what feels good. So I try to bring, especially the mom, back to that place of what does your child really love, and what do you really love about your child. And it could just be as simple as he leans on me and touches his head to mine and he smiles, and making those moments really big, and making the pleasure and the joy that we have from parenting our children be the anchoring spot and building out from there. You know, I remember a moment in my own journey, and a client and I were talking about this, that every single moment can't be about where you know, pardon my delicacy, where you put the poop. Like,
Right.
you can't be constantly on the put your lips this way, brush your teeth this way, or read this word. And so helping families to pay attention to the pleasure, to the joy, to the juicy stuff in the relationship, and making that the priority. And from that point, choosing one thing. It may be that we're just working on the child being able to communicate in one specific way, but that's just the one thing that you're allowing yourself to police right now. Police nothing else. Everything else, if people aren't bleeding and dying, let's just leave it alone, and kind of giving ourselves permission to be in those moments where we leave things alone and just allow.
I love
I
that,
don't think
Faith, because I love that, because then we get back to a substantial portion of the day enjoying our kids. And I think they deserve that and we deserve that. So I love what you're saying.
Talk a little bit about parenting like a ninja. This is an Autism Mom's Guide to Professional Productivity.
So parenting like a ninja was the way I took out of my head the journey I'd been on. That journey from feeling fragmented and kind of pulled in multiple directions to the place where I feel more integrated, more purposeful, more productive, more organized. And still I'm not sleeping nights because my son still doesn't sleep well at night. So it's a journey through mindfulness, some of the tools that I've used, through mindfulness, through some of the strategic thinking that I knew how to do as an engineer, applying that to my own life, to the place where I am constantly refining a plan that works for me. And I invite moms and others just into this space of being productive by knowing how to direct your energy in the way you choose, not having your energy pulled all over, but knowing how to direct it in the way you choose.
And you say that autism moms are hackers and that entrepreneurship can be an emotional health buffer. What do you mean by that?
So I think that autism moms are the perfect candidates for entrepreneurship, because we fix stuff just on the fly, on the go. Who has the time to figure out if there's a real product or whatever? Like, my son taught me how to pick a lock because he locked all the doors. Then you just lock, and who keeps those keys around? So I figured out, with the paper clip, and I figured out how to do that. So I think autism moms have a built-in adaptability that, in performance psychology, we talk about the traits of the entrepreneurial team, and a high adaptability and being able to learn from experience are the traits of an entrepreneur. And so many moms have figured out solutions, and other moms have asked them, hey, how do you do so-and-so? And they share it. And that's the basis of having a product and being able to share that product. And so when I say buffer to the emotional stress that comes with being a special needs mom, many of the autism moms that I know have limited kind of satisfaction at work. The relationships that they have with girlfriends are so it's sometimes fragmented, sometimes limited. And so basic psychological needs are not being met. And that's what makes us vulnerable to emotional distress. And so entrepreneurship is a way to feel competent to feel productive, to build a village, and to build community. And so it can really meet so many of our basic psychological needs that we're not meeting over the course of kind of fixing our kids.
We've got a mom who wrote in on Facebook and wants to know, my question is, how can I build a business in reference to autism? I'd like to have an autism store.
Yeah, wow, that is awesome. And I think, part of the life we live as moms shows us the need for products and services that would make sense to us. And so I think definitely, well, first of all, I'd love to talk with you offline, just we could brainstorm that and kind of bring it down to something very specific. Many of us who see the need for a business, see the need for multiple products, but for our sanity as autism moms, we should probably start with one. And so, I think you definitely can by honoring the way you work. Many of us have incredible strengths, and if we build the business around our strengths, not based on what others say, not based as much on what the textbooks say, but build it around your strengths and what's good and easy for you, you can definitely have a really productive business.
Faith, you've got such a strong, calming presence,
Yes, you
right?
do.
I can totally see why someone would want to be coached by you, because you make it all seem reasonable and doable, and just you saying, well, that's great, but maybe let's start with one thing. I just took a breath. I was like, oh, doing a store is going to be a whole lot. Oh, one thing. I can do one thing, right? And I hope that this mom thinks so as well, and hopefully you guys will be able to connect with each other.
You. Yeah.
Yes, I believe that was on Facebook. It might have been on YouTube. But Faith, how can people get a hold of you?
Email faith@melodyofautism.com. That's a simple way. Or at autisticbizmoms.club. If they go there and they jump into that group, then just send me a message, because I'm there multiple times a day just chatting with people.
Okay.
And is Parenting Like a Ninja available as a book?
Parenting Like a Ninja as an ebook is on Amazon right now. But for members of Autistic Biz Moms, I do have some complimentary copies, so they could hop in and get there.
Okay.
Wonderful. Right. And what do you have to do to join that club?
Tell me that you want to be a culture shifter, and you want to do things differently, and you want balance in your life between parenting and the other aspects. I think I'm pretty like, come in. It's open door. Just click on the link and it will talk you through.
Now tell us about your situation now. How is you have a child with autism. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Jaden is 19. He's 20 this year.
Right.
I have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old as well, who are typical, except there's no such thing as typical. So.
Yeah.
And Jaden continues to be significantly challenged. We had 2 regressions, and so autism showed up differently after the second regression, which was also really hard for me. And so he continues to have impulse control issues and a combination of kind of motor difficulties. At the same time, he's learning to type, and as he's been typing, there's been these profound expressions of self-reflection and understanding. A therapist came to the home today, and he said to her, "Are you here to help me with autism?" And she said, "Yes." He typed that, and he said, "Sometimes autism prevents me from being able to accept the help." And I thought it was just so profound that he could do that in the middle of his body running all around the house and working out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That is amazing. Now, you said he had 2 regressions. Can you explain to our audience what you mean by that?
So when he was 15, somewhere in the 15-month window, I began to see him lose some of the skills he had. And for me, that just looked like I could send him for a toy and he'd go for it. And then over a couple of months, he stopped going. I'd say, "Hey, Jay, go get the doll," and he'd get it, or then he'd go and not get it. And then he would go and not return, and then he would just not go. So we started to see what looked like he wasn't hearing, but I knew he was hearing because he was hyper. He could hear. He responded so sharply to sound. And so that was 15 to 18 months. We got diagnosis when he was 22 months old. When he was 6 years old, it was more distinct. We had, I don't know what it was. He stopped eating. He stopped moving. He lay around in bed. It looked like he had a cold, but he was just really, it was different, and I'm not sure could have been like strep into pandas. Those are the speculations people have said. But when he came out of that, he came out having lost the potty training he had. He lost some of the language he had, and he came back with more tics, more twitches, more jerky movement, less smoothness in his body. And a lot of that has remained to this point.
That had to have been devastating
Yeah, it must
for
have been
you.
very hard for you.
It was at 6. I had him at 6, and my daughter at 3, and I had an under 1-year-old. So it was really, really a difficult period.
I can only imagine. Well, it's great that you've taken all of your personal experiences and you're using them to help and coach other families.
Amen to that. So let's tell them the
Thank you for
website
having me.
again to go where they can find out more about what you do.
And I didn't say that before. The general website that I can find me at is faithclark.com. But my Melody of Autism work with caregivers, that's melodyofautism.com, and my entrepreneurial work is at autisticbizmoms.com.club. So if you reach out to me by email, I'll point you to any of the spaces or all, and that would be at faith@melodyofautism.com.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Faith, for being with us, and continued good luck to you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
She's just lovely.
I know.
Just so lovely.
So many different...
And I meant to say, because we saw somebody came
the
in for a
background
moment and
was
then
her
left.
son,
I don't know
probably.
which one of
Right,
her kids
right.
that was, but I thought we were going to have one of those British. You remember the British guy who had the 2 kids come in at one point? I thought we were going to
Yes.
have one of those
Right.
interviews, but then
Right.
he saw she was busy and I'm out.
So,
My kid wouldn't have done that. He would have been like, "Who are you
Right,
talking to?"
exactly.
Wyatt would have done that too,
right, right.
In
So
any case.
we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be back with the comedian, a 17-year-old comedian with autism, Jordan Hollow, and his mother, Michelle C. Hollow.
Stick with us.
My name is Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson. I'm the executive director of Act Today, and I'm here to support this amazing cause for military families with children with autism. Most military families move on average every 2 years. Oftentimes they have a parent who's deployed. With 1 in 68 military children being diagnosed with autism, it's just more critical than ever that we give them the support they need for care and services. This is the 8th year of our run. It's always a great event for the San Diego community, the fitness community, and the military community to come out and support military children with autism.
It's so nice to see so many people out here this morning, not only providing their support morally and emotionally for these families, but financially. And so they're raising a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars. It all goes to treatment and some of the things that these families may not otherwise be able to afford, and so we're just proud to be a part of it.
There's a children's race as well, and it's all kinds of fun too that's mixed up in it all.
This is our 8th year being the title sponsor of the One Hope Act Today Family 5K, 10K Family Festival. And we believe doing good is doing good business. The main thing that we're out here today is because of our Cabernet supports Act Today. And with our Cabernet, we donate back towards Act Today, and we've donated over 2,000 hours of ABA therapy.
Me and Gunny Gitmo came all the way out here from Palm Springs to support this because we do have a son that has autism. And so we come out here to do the support for it all the time. We do a lot of fundraisers out in Palm Springs also.
We had a huge Stroller Warriors group out here. I run with Stroller Warriors Miramar. We had a bunch of ladies run their first ever 10K today. It was amazing. I have a personal connection to autism. My son Ethan has autism.
I'm in the Navy, and I ran the inaugural Act Today 5K back in 2011, I think it was. And so every time I come back to San Diego, I try and make it around this time so I can come run this race.
I'm a 14-year military spouse who has been through 4 deployments with my husband. He's running today right now, so I'm just very happy to be here. Anytime an organization is out here helping military families, I'm always here to support because they're here to help families like me.
inclusion is everything. Feeling like we have a place where we belong, and when I say we, I'm first and foremost a mother of a child on the spectrum and gym owner and now founder of carrying this to families who need it as well.
My son is extremely hyperactive. Getting him to calm down is a very difficult task. So the idea of Rock the Spectrum Gym, where he could just go and run and play and do all these fun things without any kind of worries and just go, go, go and bring down that energy, it helps us so much at home. You know, in the home or at school, it's not acceptable, but this is the one place it is acceptable for the child to kind of be themselves and get it all out there and just really just be themselves.
It's an amazing place where my son could go and be himself. You get to meet other parents who are in the same journey as you are.
I think the most popular aspect of it is how they include all children of all types, not just only learning disabled, lower functioning, moderate functioning, high functioning, and non-disabled.
People there are so friendly. Everybody's like family. They always greet you with a smile. There's not one negative thing I could say about any of the employees. They're all absolutely amazing. So I think every parent should walk in through those doors and see what an amazing gym it is.
Now a diagnosis meaning 1 out of 6 kids are in some way or form affected with sensory processing disorder or autism. That's why We Rock Now is on the rise. People want to be a part of it. People know that they have a community there. They know that they can learn more information about things that they don't know themselves or that they can share, build friendships, and basically get what you get in an OT facility, but it's not $150 an hour. It's $12.
And we are back, and now we are joined by Jordan Hollow and Michelle C. Hollow, his mom. Jordan, as we said, is a 17-year-old comedian, and we're here to bust the myth that kids with autism aren't funny or people with autism aren't funny.
Well, and I also want to say what a wonderful creative family, because mom is also a very accomplished writer and has written about her son being a comedian, but also writes about other things. So we wanted to have both of them here with us today to talk about this. So welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you. Is it on TV?
You're on TV.
You're on TV. You're here.
And you look great. It's wonderful. So I don't know which one of you wants to tell us. Let's start with talking about this myth that people with autism aren't maybe funny. I can't even imagine. Does anybody think that?
I mean, I'm funny, but my mom is not at all.
My husband's very funny, and I guess Jordan got a lot of that from him.
Okay.
But what does Dad say that I do jokes?
You killed them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's great.
That's too funny.
So
go ahead.
Tell us about your comedy career and how this started, Jordan and Michelle.
Well, this started in 2016, and
I was getting a little disgusted because you were hanging around the house not doing much, and I said, take a class. So he picked stand-up comedy, and you've taken it now, how many times?
Like 3, I think.
3 times. And the teacher is wonderful. He is a professional stand-up comedian, and at the end of the, I guess it's like 6 or 8 weeks, they meet once a week at the adult school. We live in South Orange. South Orange, Maplewood in New Jersey has a bunch of different classes from language arts to sewing and comedy, acting, and he was interested in doing stand-up, which I give you a lot of credit for because that's kind of frightening, standing up in front of a crowd. But at the end of the class, after the few weeks that the class is on, the kids, the people in the class perform at a real comedy club. And you've done that now 3 times.
Yeah.
I love that. Jordan, were you interested in stand-up before you knew that there was a class, or was it just that it was a choice between that and sewing and you knew you didn't want to do sewing?
I don't like to sewing.
That's definitely the funnier answer, I gotta say. Now, you have taken autism and the way people look at things with autism, and you've put that into your act. Can you give us an example of what that is?
Give him a joke.
Oh, yeah, okay.
An autism joke. He writes a lot of his own jokes, and go ahead.
Don't focus in.
Okay, bro. Go.
I'll just tell a joke that I have to.
He likes doing a lot of play on words.
Okay. What do you call silly me?
I don't know. What do you call it?
Baloney.
I love that. I love that. How do you come up with these things, Jordan?
I just think and I just have this notebook and my brain does it right.
I love that.
What's it like doing stand-up in front of a big room full of people? Is that, do you get nervous at all, or do you feel comfortable in that position?
Like a few minutes, I'm like really nervous, but then like someone starts cheering and I go like right into it.
And the article that your mom wrote about the first time that you got up, I gotta say, I was reading it and I broke out in a sweat, Mom. Tell us what happened the first time you ever got up to do stand-up.
You want to do it? Or...
Well, I was like really nervous, and I didn't really want to do it, but my teacher like started cheering for me, like cheering for the others to cheer too, and I just went into it.
Yeah, he first got up there and you froze for a few seconds. And a few seconds kind of seems like a long time. And my husband and I were in the audience and we kind of got nervous too. But his teacher got right up there and started chanting his name, and then everybody else in the comedy club, and it was packed, started chanting your name, and then you just went right into it. It was a very friendly crowd.
That's great.
It gives me goosebumps. I guess I want to know too, this class that you signed up for, this was just a class about stand-up comedy, right? It wasn't a class for doing stand-up comedy if you happen to be on the autism spectrum, or am I missing something?
You got it right. Actually, I called up ahead of time to find out because Jordan also, he's the in the program. When I pick him up, it's late. It's a little after 9, and he everybody's hanging out. They walk out together and they are all going to the bar, and Jordan's like, well, it's a school night. I'm going home. I'm going to bed.
Now, you say that this comedy has helped with Jordan's really development and him coming out of his shell. Talk about that.
Well, when Jordan was younger, we enrolled him in several social skills classes, and social skills works well for a lot of people. It didn't seem to work well for you because he got to do everything he wanted to do. There was no opposition in the social skills class. You got to play, you got to eat fun foods. And the teachers would always come up to me and say, he seems fine. Whereas stand-up, you're doing public speaking, you're coming up with jokes, so you have to be sharp and smart and pretty quick with it. So I just think it helps in so many different ways.
It sounds like it's the perfect fit. And it sounds like this teacher is somebody who's pretty amazing too.
He is. He really is a nice guy. And he was like, bring him. I said, is it okay if he signs up? I actually called the adult school and she put me in touch with the teacher. And he was very welcoming. You like Lee.
Yep.
And you're going to be his prize student, right? If not already.
Yeah.
What's
No, I'm not going to be your sidekick because I kill Joe.
Yeah, she'll be
straight man.
She'll be the villain.
Oh, okay.
I think he's got it right though, Mom. I like how he says to you, set it up, and orders you to do that. That's kind of fun. What's the end game here? What do you think is going to happen with this?
Not even I know what's gonna happen.
I don't think you want a career in it. Do you?
No.
No. It's a fun thing to do. Everybody has their.
It's my hobby, pretty much.
It's your hobby, okay. Now, Jordan, you're in school.
Yes.
Tell us about your school.
Well, I see I'm really short. I represent school right now.
Calais?
The Calais school.
Okay.
And it's a special needs school.
Uh-huh.
It's like 12th grade, but they have this program called the 12th class program, and then they just stay like an extra few years.
Yeah.
Like, it's doing the actual world before you actually go out there.
There's going to be, they'll take them for job training, and also you get to go to college.
Yes.
Take some college classes.
So you'll
That's
stay in
great.
this program until you're 21?
Yes.
We're going to see how it goes each year.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then, are there any plans for when you're done with this program?
Just moving on to college full time.
Okay.
A few years just to get a job.
And do you have any idea what kind of a job you'd like?
Well, actually, yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay.
Working at Trader Joe's.
Oh, working at Trader Joe's. Okay.
We love Trader Joe's.
Right. Well, that seems very doable. And you're going to get some training in how to do that at the school, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great.
We've had a gentleman on the show before, Stephen Gaber, who he graduated from college with a degree in film, and he calls himself the autistic traveler. And he travels and he does a video travelogue about the places that he goes. And Stephen's day job is that he works at Trader Joe's. So
Maybe I'll get a.
maybe sometime you and Stephen could chat about that, about what he likes about working at Trader Joe's. I'm just throwing it out there. We'll see. He's a little nonplussed. I get it. But I'm sure Stephen would enjoy talking to you about that, because he does that and he likes working at Trader Joe's.
Well, good luck with your comedy career, Jordan.
And Jordan, do you have a website or something that lets people know when you're going to be performing?
No.
No.
That's
Okay.
all right. That's all right. Well, we look forward to hearing, maybe you or your mom can send us an email and let us know when you're performing next.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think he has. You want to show them that, or?
Yes. Okay, this is one of two books that we wrote.
That you wrote?
Jordan Craft, and he co-wrote a book on. He wrote two joke books about Minecraft.
Oh, how great.
Which
Hilarious
is
jokes for
wonderful.
Minecrafters and jokes for Minecrafters.
I love that. Would you share just one? Look at you. You're doing so great. Would you share just one joke, maybe your favorite joke?
Yes.
From the books?
It's in this book.
Nancy and I know a little bit about Minecraft, but not too much. So make it one that we would understand.
Joke.
Oh, about what did the
wait, let me look for it.
Well, they don't have a lot of time.
It's just live.
What did the baby zombie say? That one?
I don't know. Maybe.
I put you on the spot here. I should have given you forewarning that we were going to want a joke.
Let's see. It's his zombie joke.
Okay.
Why don't you just, the zombie joke. Why don't you just tell them?
Oh, I forgot it. That's why I'm looking for it.
I think
While you're looking, where can we get these books?
Barnes & Noble or online.
Okay, Amazon has them?
Yes.
Make a great gift. We
You're
all
right.
know kiddos who
Right into
love
Minecraft.
Minecraft, and when you're going to a birthday party, fun thing
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
Is to get them a book of jokes about Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
Any
Yeah,
luck
but he
with?
made No, why don't I? Do you want me to tell him?
Sure,
since I
go
know it?
ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mom. Tell us one of the jokes.
Correct me because I tend to kill jokes.
All right. Well,
what did the baby zombie say to his mom when he broke the vase?
I don't know what.
What did he say?
Oh, I'm so undead.
I'm still.
I'm so undead.
I'm so undead. All right, very good.
I love that. I love that. Nice delivery too,
All right.
Jordan. You've got great comic timing. All right. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you for being on the show. Good luck to you with everything and with your comedy career and your career at hopefully at Trader Joe's one day too, Jordan. Thanks, Mom.